Okay, so today we're doing things a little bit differently.
Uh-huh.
Instead of our usual articles and research papers, we are going straight to the source,
Oh,
and we're going to be looking at a WhatsApp group chat
interesting.
called BSS Rawalpindi, BPR.
All right.
Um, and essentially, it's this group of real former classmates who are reconnecting after many years.
Yeah.
And, I think what we want to do in this deep dive is just really kind of understand, what happens when a group like this comes back together,
Right.
the types of memories that they share,
Hmm.
and what it tells us about, how our experiences shape us.
Totally. And you know that feeling, right, when you reconnect with someone from your past?
Oh, yeah.
Like that rush of nostalgia and also kind of like a little bit of the unexpected.
Yes.
It could be at a high school reunion or maybe just like running into them online or something.
Right.
And this deep dive, I think, gives us a chance to kind of see how that all unfolds.
Yeah.
And I think as we go through these messages, you're going to find a lot of things that you can relate to your own experiences.
All right. So the story begins on March 10th, 2025, when the group was created.
Oh, okay.
Interestingly enough, it wasn't always BPR. It actually started as BBR,
Huh.
and then they quickly changed it.
Interesting.
Even the description of the group kind of went through a little bit of evolution.
Okay.
And then the first members joined on March 12th,
All right.
and that was BS Ufan Malik and BSS Sarguna Hederi, BPR,
Okay.
followed by BSS Daniel H. Khan on March 13th.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about Daniel H. Khan is that he comes in
Yeah.
and he's very aware of the time that has passed.
Right.
And he actually says, it's going to be difficult to remember the 30-year-old self. Let's focus on now.
Yeah. I think that's pretty relatable
Yeah.
to kind of realize, like, wow, it's been so long. Like, who were we back then?
Right.
But also acknowledging that, okay, we're here now.
Right.
So let's focus on that.
Exactly. And then Aga Ali, who is the one who started the group, he jumps in and he really kind of lays out the purpose.
Okay.
He says it's an unofficial BSS group.
Okay.
And we can assume that BSS stands for Beacon House School System.
Got it.
And the goal is to just share memories, catch up, stay in touch.
Yeah.
And he also wants to add more what he calls Rawalpindi Beaconites.
Right. Right. So trying to get the whole gang back together.
Exactly. And Wisufan Malik asks a very simple question, which is, what is this group about?
Yeah.
And Aga Ali responds about us.
Yeah.
And that really, I think, gets at the heart of what these reunions are all about, right?
Yeah. I think there's something powerful about that kind of simplicity, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not overcomplicated. It's just like, we have this shared history.
Right.
We were all part of this thing.
Yeah.
And, let's see where we are now.
Exactly. And the group continued to grow.
Okay.
On March 14th, BSS on Muhammad Naki joined, and he joins through an invite link.
Yeah.
And he offers the traditional Assalamu Alaikum greeting. It seems like that invite link was really crucial to get more and more people,
Right.
because then we see BSS Faryal Ali Shah
Right.
and Bresfarsa Ali Shah join.
Oh, okay.
And we later find out that they're siblings, which is really cool.
Oh, that's neat.
And then BSS Nida Farouk joins.
Okay.
And Aga Ali, is constantly encouraging people, hey, invite more people.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody in here.
It's like that initial excitement, like,
Yeah.
let's reconnect. It's
Right.
been so long. Let's get everyone.
Exactly. And then he decides to do a poll to find out where everybody is.
Okay. Cool.
So he asks them, where do you currently live?
Yeah.
And it turns out, life has taken everybody in very different directions.
Right.
There are people in Rawalpindi, Karachi, Islamabad, and even across Europe.
Wow.
And BSS Daniel H. Khan has this really cool response where he says, one leg in Islamabad, one in Karachi.
Yeah. That's so common nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that digital nomad vibe.
Totally. Yeah.
Or, maybe he's got family in both places.
Right.
Or work. Whatever it may be, it's interesting.
And then Aga Ali himself mentions that he's based in Karachi and Cyprus.
Yeah. So they're really spread out.
Yeah. And then he does another poll.
Okay.
This one's focused on quick life introductions.
Right.
And specifically, he wants to know marital status and children.
Okay.
But BSS Mansour Raymond takes it a step further and actually just writes out where he is, what he's doing.
Okay.
So he says that he's in Lahore, married with 2 children, working at a bank.
Okay. So he's giving a little more detail.
Yeah. And then Aga Ali shares his update.
All right.
And he says that he's in Karachi in northern Cyprus.
Okay.
And that he's married to a fellow Beaconite who he actually met in grade 5,
Oh, wow.
which is really sweet.
That's amazing.
And that they have a 4-year-old.
I
And then he has this really nice sentiment where he says, I really miss you guys. I
Ah,
wish I had created this group a long time ago.
yeah. I think we've all had that thought, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I should have reached out sooner.
Yeah,
Whatever it may be.
exactly. And then BSS, Sarguna Hatery, BPR, shares her update.
Okay.
And she says that she's in Ireland now after living in Lahore.
Wow.
And she's married with a 5-year-old daughter, and she's a doctor,
Okay.
but she's currently taking a break for an exam.
Yeah. Life still happens.
Right.
Even when you're reconnecting with people.
Right. And then, as you might expect,
Yeah.
the conversation turns to nostalgia.
Of course.
And Aga Ali specifically asks, what are some memories that you have?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Sarguna Heteri talks about the house system at their school.
Oh, yeah. Every school has those, right?
And she remembers the 4 colors, red, green, yellow, blue,
Okay.
and these really funny teasing slogans like green gutter key queen,
Oh, my gosh.
and yellow dirty fellow.
That's so funny.
And she points out that this was even before Harry Potter was popular.
Wow. So that's a really unique shared experience that
Right.
predates this global phenomenon.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And then, of course, the conversation turns to teachers.
Right.
Names like Mrs. Pinto, the math teacher,
Oh, yeah.
Mrs. Jelani, and there's this whole story about how Mrs. Jelani had to intervene
Oh,
because someone was being forced to be friends with another person over lunch.
wow.
And then Sir Farman, the karate teacher, who's also a Sitara Imitiaz winner,
Wow. That's impressive.
Sir Wasim, Sir Zulfikar, Sir Kokar, Sir Idres, the music teacher,
So many names.
and just the names themselves
Yeah.
seem to unlock so many memories.
Right. And I think that's so true of like anyone who went to the same school.
Right.
You hear those names and it just like brings back
Yeah.
the whole experience.
Yeah. And then the classmates themselves.
Of course.
They start talking about Abdullah, who's very artistic,
Okay.
but unfortunately he's passed away.
Oh, that's sad.
And then they talk about Uzair Tariq, who is really good at drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a mention of Ovaltine.
Ovaltine.
I don't know what that's about, but it sounds funny.
Yeah, like some inside joke.
Right. And then Nita Farouk,
Okay.
who they jokingly call a leader and a bully.
Uh,
And there's a memory of her singing Shadmani in the corridor.
oh my gosh.
And Farial Ali Shah Anam Niazi, who moved to Europe.
Wow.
Manal Sohail and Dodgeball.
It's like all these little details are
Right.
coming back.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is, sometimes they'll mention these little events or activities,
Yeah.
like, doing artistic class projects
Right.
or karate performances under Sir Farman,
Mm-hmm.
or this thing they called the Battle of the Houses, which were these inter-house competitions,
Yeah.
or dodgeball games, or annual day preparations.
Yeah.
And they even talk about, this rumor that the school might be haunted.
Oh, spooky.
And there's this really interesting dynamic where they'll talk about, past teasing,
Right.
or even things that might have been a little bit negative back then,
Yeah.
but they acknowledge it now with a sense of humor
Mm-hmm.
and even with apologies.
I think that's really mature to be able to look back and be like, okay, maybe that wasn't cool,
Right.
but we've grown since then.
Right. And they even talk about a specific incident where Mrs. Jelani had to intervene
Yeah.
because Nita was trying to force someone to eat lunch with her.
Oh my gosh.
And it's funny because now they could look back and laugh about it.
Right. It's like that awkward thing that happened.
Yeah.
But now it's just a funny memory.
Exactly. And then there are these very specific and often kind of unbelievable moments.
Like what?
They talk about someone named Anik who got injured accidentally.
Oh no.
And then Agalali admits that he pooped in the class when he was a kid,
Oh my gosh.
which is, kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
But he's sharing it with his friends and they're all laughing about it.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes those groups so special, right?
Yeah.
Is that you can be vulnerable
Yeah.
and share those embarrassing moments.
Right.
And everyone can laugh about it together.
Right. And then they have this other memory of a dodgeball game with Mansour Rehman.
So it's like a mix of like big events
Yeah.
and then these small little personal moments.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get this other perspective.
Okay.
Because Ume Leila Sieda, who was their classmate,
Mhm.
is now a teacher at Beacon House.
Oh, wow.
And she gives them updates about how the school has changed.
Interesting.
She talks about how they have Chromebooks and multimedia and air conditioning.
Wow. So it's a very different experience.
Yeah, from what they had back in the day.
I bet.
And they all share updates about their lives and their careers.
Okay, cool.
We find out there's a doctor in Ireland, someone working in aviation operations in Manchester,
Wow.
a banker in Lahore,
Mm-hmm.
Omi Leila, the educationist at Beacon House,
Yeah.
someone in the business of imported chemicals,
Okay.
and even a non-practicing lawyer.
Wow. So they've all gone in very different directions.
Yeah, and they make these connections between their past and their present.
Like how?
So, for example, Sir Wasim is now an international umpire.
That's amazing.
Umelele is teaching at their old school.
Right.
And Zarguna is still friends with Hassan Ali, who is the son of their music teacher.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then there's this whole effort to try to find and add more classmates.
Okay. Yeah.
They mention names like Anik Ahmed Warisha Nabil,
Mhm.
or maybe it's Numair,
Okay.
Akash, and Samir.
Wow. They're really trying to get everyone
Yeah.
back in the group.
And they even share contact information like Asdar Butt's phone number.
Okay.
And then in the middle of the conversation, BSS Asdar Butt actually joins the group.
Wow.
And it's just this really cool moment where everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're here. Welcome, welcome.
It's like the reunion is still happening.
Right? It's unfolding.
Yeah.
And what's really great is just the overall tone of the chat is so lighthearted and humorous.
Yeah.
There's lots of teasing, shared laughter.
Mm-hmm.
They have all these inside jokes and references to past events.
Yeah.
It's just this really nice camaraderie.
I think that's so important,
Yeah.
to create that kind of comfortable atmosphere where people can share and be themselves.
Right. And they also spend a lot of time reflecting on time and memory.
Yeah.
They talk about how quickly time has passed,
Right.
how some memories are so vivid
Mm-hmm.
and others are totally gone.
It's so true.
And Aga Ali's really good memory
Yeah.
becomes this recurring joke
That's funny.
because he remembers everything.
Right.
And they're like, do you have a secret diary?
That's hilarious. You remember all this stuff.
Exactly. And I think, that's one of the things that happens when you get older, right?
Yeah.
Is you realize that some memories are so clear
Yeah.
and then others are just gone.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to kind of reminisce with people
Right.
and fill in those gaps.
Yeah. And I think what's really amazing about this whole deep dive is that it shows just this really strong sense of community and shared history.
Totally.
And the fact that they all reacted so positively to this group being created,
Yeah.
and they're so happy to be reconnecting with each other,
Mm-hmm.
really shows that, those early friendships.
Have this lasting impact.
It's true, even if you haven't spoken to someone in years,
Right.
you can still pick up right where you left off.
Exactly. And I think for you, the listener,
Yeah.
think about your own memories of school and those early friendships.
Mm-hmm.
They probably had that same mix of humor,
Right.
really important moments,
Yeah,
and this understanding that only you and the people who are there can really understand.
totally.
And this deep dive is really a reminder of how important those shared experiences are.
Yeah.
They shape who we are,
Mhm.
and they create these lasting connections that really make our lives richer. So here's a thought for you to consider.
Okay.
Think about some of your most vivid memories,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even the funniest ones, with people from your past.
Yeah.
And what would it be like to reach out to them today?
Right?
You might be surprised at how much you have to talk about
Yeah.
and all the laughter that you might share.
Totally.
And maybe a new WhatsApp group chat could be in your future.
That would be awesome.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe if we get more updates from the BSS Rawalpindi BPR group,
Yeah.
we'll do another deep dive into their story down the line.
Love that.
But until then,
Yeah.
keep those memories alive
Mm-hmm.
and maybe reach out to someone from your past.
Exactly. You never know what might
You
happen.
never know.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
I'll see you next time.
Bye.